Dude, give me 10 seconds and we're gonna fucking talk about the House of the Dragon. With Motor City Nerd, you guys want to talk about this shit? I'm so excited to talk about this shit. I've not felt good all fucking day, but we're gonna talk about this and we're gonna get some shit straight. I even got the whiteboard out. If I have the whiteboard out, some shit's going down. That's all I'm saying. Just so everybody knows, this is just gonna be Easter eggs and me nerding out about shit. Did like this trailer. It had a very different feel from Game of Thrones. You could just tell. I appreciated that, but part of me was like, this kind of looks cheap. Only at certain times, though. It was like, okay, here's where the money is what I'm saying. Here's where we didn't spend as much money on stuff, because it just, I don't know, like, there was just something about it that I was like, that doesn't look that great, and then I was like, but this looks awesome. Watching my other video I did, I already talked about the trailer, but like I said, this is going to be me nerding out and going into detail about certain things that I like, certain things I'm excited about, certain things I'm not so excited about. I understand why they picked this. I understand why they picked the Dance of Dragons and a Targaryen thing, but all I could think when they first announced this was, why didn't you do Duncan Egg? You should have done Duncan Egg, and I don't, but because it's the same world, it's the same names and stuff, but it's a different tone. It's more lighthearted. There's still serious stuff in it. You could have made it a mini-series, and I was just like, do Duncan Egg. That way we're still in Westeros, and we're still like Game of Thrones, but it's a totally different feel. It's a totally different thing. And I've said this before, do you want to know why I think they want to do Duncan Egg now? Because of The Mandalorian, because this dynamic works. You have the badass gunslinger, the badass knight, Sir Duncan the Tall, coming into town, kicking ass, taking names, and having this story in an episode, but also leading to a bigger story as a whole. So yeah, you have Sir Duncan the Tall and his secretly royal little kid sidekick with him. Then and like I said, I think because of The Mandalorian with the badass coming into town with his cute little sidekick, and that dynamic always works. We like that. We do, it is what it is. It's in a ton of things. Why aren't we doing Duncan Egg? And then George R. R. Martin was like, oh, no, I'm still working on that. And like I've said a million times, you are still working on the main fucking series. What do you mean? What do you mean? You let them make a series out of that. And what? But we can't do Duncan Egg? And now all of a sudden we're doing Duncan Egg. Okay, well, I think it's because Mandalorian worked. I want to see Robert's Rebellion, but like I said, I think these should be miniseries. Anyway, let's get back on track. Back to Targaryens. I said this before, and I'll say it again. Game of Thrones, I love it. It's easy for me to keep track of characters and names and stuff like that. For other viewers, it is not, or readers or whatever, it is not as easy. And when you are going to have a million characters that are all white-haired and blue-eyed, it's going and with crazy names, and you're going to go, wait, what? We're all marrying each other because it's incest city. Whatever. Whatever. I'm just saying. I get it. Dragons, they're cool. I love a dragon as much as the next person. I'm just saying, I think this is going to be hard for the average viewer to understand what's going on if we start throwing too much crazy shit at people. This is a civil war between one family that tears the country apart and decimates the Targaryen family. I don't want it to come off like I'm talking shit. And oh yeah, and let's get this straight too. I will talk shit about George R. R. Martin because this asshole is like spitting in the fans' faces. Like, we really love this shit and you just are like, fuck you. Anybody wanted to know, if you're not a reader, we still haven't gotten 2 books for the series, A Song of Ice and Fire, that Game of Thrones is based off of. We're still waiting on the goddamn books. We don't even have what is going on. We're making video games, we're going to conventions with 11 people at them, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm a huge fan of your shit, and it's like, cool, dude. So everybody else sucking ass on this, man, I'm like, shut up. Fucking Big Omar saying this, and he was like, I always think about getting back into him, but then I'm like, you're so long and boring. I'm like, no, there are parts that are like, Jesus Christ. Some people got real butthurt when I was saying George R. R. Martin was an asshole, and I'm like, he is a fucking asshole. We'll see exactly what. Not even just about George R. R. Martin, just the nerd community as a whole being turds, man, and especially the Song of Ice and Fire fandom, man. They can be fucking the most passive-aggressive motherfuckers. I'm a part of this fandom, obviously, like, and it just is. It's a thing. Like I said, I know what to expect from certain fandoms. I know that the anime community is going to be very vocal and crazy, and it's like getting beat up by somebody, but you're agreeing with them. It's like the anime community is like kicking you, and you're going, no, I like that too. Stop hurting me. I just mean the toxic ones. Not everybody's like this. And then there's Star Wars people that are just going to flat out fucking fight with you no matter what. They're ready to throw down at all times. And then I've realized with A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones, it's very snobby. George R. R. Martin ain't perfect. I love his work too. Let's get back to House of the Dragon, because he had time to write Fire and Blood, which was an entire novel about the Targaryen history. And so we know all this shit. We know what happens. If you've read it, if you watched Game of Thrones, you know what happens to the Targaryen family eventually. There ain't that many left by the beginning of Game of Thrones, so what do you think happened to them? I'm getting all worked up. You guys are getting me all worked up. I'm working myself up. You guys aren't here. Okay, first and foremost, the voiceover is really cool, but when he says, dreams didn't make us kings, dragons did. Easter egg. The reason the Targaryens are the only people with dragons is because they were the only ones who were dragon riders to survive the doom of Valyria, and their ancestor, Daenerys the Dreamer, could get visions, and she had a dream that they needed to leave because there was going to be an apocalypse situation, and that's exactly what happened, and it killed everybody and their dragons except for the Targaryen family. I see you. Dreams didn't make us kings, but your first ancestor that saved your entire house was Daenerys the Dreamer. So I like that. I don't know if you meant to do that, but I'm saying that. And they say fire is right before we see just a dragon snoot. We're going to have a million dragons, but we're not going to show you one in the fucking trailer. And I've been sitting here saying I'm really excited for this. I really am. I'm pumped for it, especially with this trailer. But I need to see a dragon. You guys got to show me a dragon before I'm like really behind you 100%. The way I'm behind Succession Season 3. And when they say blood is when we get the shot of Daemon and Rhaenyra, who I talk about in my other video, who are one of the parties fighting for the Iron Throne in this series, are standing on the beach. I'm assuming they had blood set over that because, like I said, they are going to be fighting their own family, spilling their own blood. It was like the American Civil War where it tore the country apart. For years to come after that, there was issues because it was like, we fought on this side, we fought on this side, and those are problems that happen. So the Dance of Dragons was a big fucking deal, is what I'm saying. I have concerns. And I just think we would have been better off starting out somewhere else. I talk all about Corliss Velaryon, and I have a whole video about him. That is the black guy with the white dreads. I'm digging the sea snake, guys. I think he looks cool. Like, point blank, I think he looks sweet. And those are the parts of the trailer that look really well done. Are the tournament and the throne room and Corliss Velaryon and his family coming in, and that shit looked great. Here's where we're gonna get the whiteboard out, because we're gonna explain something really quick to you guys about, oh my god, he's black, oh my god, and we are shutting this down for the final time because I'm sick of people piggybacking off of this fucking subject to create content. I'm like, man, I get it, you want to be polarizing, but we don't need to continue to talk about this man's race because it does not affect the Targaryens we have in the Game of Thrones era, and I'm about to show you how, but also, why is diversity not okay? Hey guys, ready? I had to move the table. I'm just going to use initials, except for Corliss. So we have Corliss, the black guy with the dreads, who is also the blood of old Valyria, just like the Targaryens. He is just not a dragon rider, and I thought it was very interesting to have him with the white hair and the lighter eyes, but with darker skin, and I just thought I think he looks fucking cool. I don't understand. But anyway, for everybody else, I'm just going to use letters. So, Corliss married Rhaenyra Targaryen, okay? So, black guy married white lady Targaryen, and she's also half Baratheon, and she's fucking awesome, and they make a great fucking couple. They have one son and one daughter, okay? They marry Targaryens. They have kids, and they die. Actually, this one doesn't have kids. This one has 2 kids, and they don't live to adulthood. So, they're done. His house is done. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter, because that's not the bloodline that fucking continued. So I don't understand why people are using that as an argument, or are you just maybe having a problem with the fact that a black actor was cast? I think we should just, I think he looks sweet. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Shut up. Shut up. So yeah, they snuff it. They snuff it anyway, and he's a fucking awesome house, and he's got a fucking awesome story. He's the fucking sea snake. Even when I first saw the photos leaked of him, or not leaked, but put out, they posted of him, I was like, I like this take on the sea snake. He looks like a swashbuckling, but cooler version of like a Jack Sparrow-esque, which is exactly what he shouldn't be like Jack Sparrow, but you know what I mean? He's the best sea captain that ever fucking lived, and he's got all these stories, and he's been fucking everywhere, and him and his wife have a great relationship, and he's a great character, and I was like, he looks fucking sweet. That's all I fucking thought. And then I'm like, wow, there's a whole bunch of fucking crying about this guy. It's a fantasy world. Chill out. Like, chill out, guys. Chill out. It's okay. We're all gonna be okay. House Velaryon dies off. That's why it does not matter. But also it shouldn't matter, because it shouldn't matter. Let's keep going. Targaryen armor, the tournament, that looks fucking awesome. That looks so sweet. From what I'm seeing and slowing down, it's the Velaryons marrying the Targaryens. So, Corliss, Velaryon, the sea snake, the black guy with the white dreads, his wife, who's a Targaryen, Rhaenys, the queen who never was, she's fucking great. And not emphasize more that this is like one of the only healthy relationships documented in Westeros history. Like, this is a cool family. Later on in the trailer, during that sword fight, the guy with white hair is his son. His son and daughter both marry into the Targaryen family, but they have weird things happen to them. The Targaryens are weird, and they want to bang each other, and that's what they've been doing, because their blood is the blood of the gods, but that's also why they married into House Velaryon. But not only that, they're fucking loaded. Why are we okay with incest, but we are not okay with this family being biracial? I don't understand. There's something wrong, people. Do you understand that? If you have an issue with this, but you're condoning incest, like... Anyway, I can't believe, like, how fucking upset people are about this, and how upset people get when I make fun of George R. R. Martin. I'm like, yeah, I did, what? Him and his millions of dollars while I'm working in a factory? He's got the last laugh, why don't you chill out? We have the VELARYON family walking into the throne room, and I thought it might be a wedding scene, or it could just be a feast of some kind, but the Velaryons were, like, the first candidates up to marry to the Targaryen family because they'd always been each other's buddies. They were always their friends. They are loaded. They have the best fleet in the world, and that's a big deal when you have a giant armada and shit and have a country to run. You have white hair and purple eyes. It's like a big sign that you are the blood of old Valyria, and that's why the Targaryens all were banging each other for years. And we're going to continue to do so. That is why Daenerys is so taken back when she is sold to Khal Drogo, which is one of my favorite scenes in the book, because if you know in the book, their relationship is very different than in the show, but she always thought, I'll be with you, Viserys. Like, that's my husband. That's who I will be with. That's what our family does. And so she is, like, not only a kid when this happens in the books, but she's terrified, and then she's like, what the fuck? Like, what is happening right now? I thought I was with my partner. This is like a huge betrayal to her. It's like, not only are you essentially selling me for an army, my partner is selling me off, not just my brother, like the guy I'm supposed to be with. Until she realizes, no, fuck that noise. But we'll get into crazy book shit about Targaryens later, because then there's the whole her dreams and all this shit. But yeah, they were deemed like worthy to marry before others. And then the Baratheons also are heavily involved with the Targaryen family, because the first Baratheon was rumored to be the bastard son of... He was rumored to be the half-brother to Aegon the Conqueror, was the first Baratheon. That's why Robert gets the throne, and that's why Stannis and Robert and Renly all really do have king's blood in their veins, is because they also descend from House Targaryen, and people don't seem to understand that, and they need to put respect on the Baratheon's name. This is just having a good time with Abby talking about Game of Thrones shit. So if you don't like it, kick rocks. I already recapped this in other videos, but all the Dance of Dragons is, which is going to be the main conflict in this series, is... Rhaenyra Targaryen was trained by her father to rule her whole life. She was supposed to take it when he died. That's what he wanted. And then he married somebody else, a Hightower, a sneaky rat, because the Hightowers and Tyrells are sneaky rats. Her dad married a Hightower, cranked out some more kids. So essentially she's just pulling what Cersei did with Joffrey. Remember when Ned's like, but Robert said this shit, and Barristan's like, those are the king's words. I have the letter right over there. This shit. So remember when that happens and Cersei tears it up? And she's like, yeah, fuck that shit. I'm putting him on the throne anyway. That's what the Hightower lady does. And Rhaenyra's like, fuck that shit. And then her husband Daemon, who's also a badass, is like, fuck that shit. And then they take on their own family against Aegon II, which is Rhaenyra's half-brother. There's also some weird shit with Daemon and Rhaenyra being married to the Velaryon family. We're not going to get into all that shit right now. I could be here for 10 hours to you guys talking about Game of Thrones. It's the same exact thing Cersei does, but... family versus family, and dragon versus dragon. And Shireen Baratheon, Stannis' daughter, the one they burned at the stake, she says this in Game of Thrones, in this show. She says, what are you reading? And she says, A Dance of Dragons. Stannis, her dad, says, why is it called a dance? And then Stannis says, why is that a dance? Yeah, that is the conflict she is talking about. She is talking about the Targaryen civil war that decimated their family. Want to hear me get into it? I have tons of other videos about this. My other video was just... me giving a really quick reaction. If you didn't, okay, let me explain this to people. I work 4 to 5 nights a week, 12 hours a night. So I normally get to things like a half a day after everybody else, and I normally don't have the time or equipment to do a live reaction for you guys that I would really like. Sometimes I do mom on my phone or whatever, but yeah, I don't really have time to do that unless I stay up after work and it's like 8 in the morning. I use the term reaction in my titles. I just mean like, I just watched this shit, and now I'm telling you guys exactly what's coming to my head. I'm not rewatching it. I'm not taking notes. This is just me telling you stuff. Just because of my schedule. If I had the time to, like, do a setup and everything and all this shit, like, I literally wake up, run out the door, go to work, come home, eat, and go to bed. Other things I appreciated in this trailer. Blackfire, the sword. The sword that they show the king holding on the Iron Throne is... it's a big deal. It becomes a big deal down the line because he leaves it... Blackfire ends up being left to somebody, and then there's another Targaryen. Targaryens are always fighting. What the fuck? Yeah, they're always fighting. There's the Blackfire Rebellion. There's fucking... goddamn... they're always fighting each other. In A Song of Ice and Fire, the Iron Throne is described as, like, 20 feet tall. It's like up in the air, and it's a bunch of jagged swords sticking out everywhere. Super dangerous. Maegor the Cruel died on them, and nobody knows how. Well, actually, people think that his wife killed him. But yeah, he was literally killed by the Iron Throne, and everybody was like, no, it was saying it was not, he wasn't worthy of it. The Iron Throne did it. This show is going to be about Rhaenyra, Daemon, Corliss Velaryon, and I know that Cregan Stark and there's shit going on in the north, and I'm assuming that's who that redhead is. That I'm very excited to see the Targaryen slice of life stuff and see how much of that is like family and I actually care about you, or I'm just trying to make an alliance with you in power and I want the throne and this and that, and we'll be able to see that. And with the Starks, they are the ones being like plotty and schemy, and we haven't got to see that from the Starks. We only know the Starks from the show that are stoic and loyal and this and that. We don't really get to see the North be plotty and schemy, and we should be able to in this because Cregan Stark essentially gets called weak at a feast in front of everybody. He don't take that shit well, and then they're all scheming on some shit to switch things up. This show can afford to do shit though, so they better fucking make it good. I do think that we're going to do a lot of flashbacks, which I think is going to make it even harder. Before making this video, I asked people who read the books, people who didn't read the books, people that loved the show's ending, people that hated the show's ending. I asked them all, or this was sent to me on their own volition and was exactly what I was saying. All we got was a dragon snoot. We didn't even get like an outline. If there are going to be this many dragons in your series, fucking show us one. Give us Syraxes or shut up. I'm hoping and thinking that because they alluded to that there would be a trailer before Succession Season 3, October 17th. Let's fucking do this. Succession, best show on television. I don't know why everybody else isn't watching it. What the fuck? If this is a show with 10,000 dragons in it, I really think it's 17. I think that's the official amount. But if you're giving us 17 fucking dragons, which need to be distinct enough for us to all tell apart, and we have to be able to tell apart all the Targaryens riding them, which, by the way, 90% of them are white hair and blue-eyed, and all have the same sounding names, and they're Aegon II and Viserys I, and this and that, and what the fuck is happening? And I think it's going to be difficult for some people, but show us a goddamn dragon. I feel like somebody should have been finished with one dragon by now. Like, what the you guys have been working on this and greenlit a prequel when the show didn't even end yet, and then you scrapped one, you picked up another. We need a dragon. Brad texted me, no dragon, question mark. My mom's first words were, they didn't even give us a dragon, and the first thing I thought was, no dragon? I didn't think they would show us one in the daylight full blown, but I was like, no, what? What? Snoot is all you give us? Are you fucking kidding me? Even give us that. It's in the dark. What are we talking about? Fucking Targaryens? Fucking Targaryens? I like the Targaryens. I do. I'm just like, this is going to be rough for some viewers. Thrones, I love A Song of Ice and Fire. The snooty fandom and these motherfuckers milking this guy being black is so weird to me. And I'm like, I get it. You want your fucking video to be interacted with, and if you have some clickbait shit, people will click on it. I just think that's gross. I feel like it comes off like I don't, especially after when I was joking around about George R. R. Martin and people got so upset. I was like, really? Really? Stop. But then I think about all the conventions and all the people I've ever like talked to at the bar or anywhere, and every time, not every time, because like I said, every fandom has its shitty people and its good people in it, but what I've gotten is the A Song of Ice and Fire specifically is snooty, passive-aggressive snooties. And I don't appreciate it sometimes. I just went on a tangent about Maester Aemon for like 15 minutes, and I probably don't need to use that. Anyway, there was just certain things that I appreciated. The sword's coming out, the Blackfire sword. I can't wait to see Dark Sister with Daemon. I can't wait to see, just show us a dragon, man. Just show us a dragon. Give us one. Give us one dragon. I don't understand. Because like I said, this isn't like a happy story, and neither was Game of Thrones, but it started off like I got some hope. Actually, I totally forgot about Bloodraven yesterday. I recorded a video talking about shit, and I was like, no, these are my favorite Targaryens. Bloodraven would be in my top 3. I think it would be Visenya, Maester Aemon, and Bloodraven are my top 3 Targaryens in all of history. I really liked this trailer. I did. I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I just think some of the stuff like that we first saw, the leaks of them on the beach, that just looks kind of cheap, and it doesn't look great, but it doesn't look bad. I'm not bitching about it. I'm not like, meh. I'm like, no, obviously this was probably like the first time it was on a camera. I get that shit. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying like, and I know it'll look better, but I'm just like, okay. Well, that kind of looked a little odd. It looked jarring compared to the rest of it. It was like, this was obviously done at one time, and this was obviously done at another. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, I could talk about Maester Aemon for like forever. Give me a character and I could talk about them for 10 hours if you'd let me. The Tales of Duncan Egg, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm like, God, we would have got young Maester Aemon, this would have been great. But it's one of the best scenes in the entire show is when he says, you know who I was, you know what I could have been. And he's still being all kind and warm in Maester Aemon, but then there's a flip. And I always took that, as a book reader especially, that he's got that Targaryen temper. He's still a Targaryen when it comes down to it. And Jon's like straight shook from this blind old man. And he's like, I wanted to go south. I watched them destroy my family. When I heard what they did to the children, what was I supposed to do? I was old and feeble and blind. But I think they shoved Maester Aemon up at the wall because I didn't want no magic around. Maesters and fucking the High Towers are sneak rats. And I think the Tyrells are rats, and I stand by that. You can like House Tyrell, that's fine. I don't. I can appreciate them. Like I said, Tywin Lannister's my favorite, and he's the biggest manipulator in the game. But I'm just saying, I don't know what it is. The Tyrells rubbed me the wrong way. The way they got their seat, everything. They were just always, they'll sell anybody out to get ahead. That's just what they do. My God, I could just keep going about this. I really could. I don't want it to come off like I'm not excited for this. There are just things that I'm like, people might not be able to follow it. And I'm talking about the average viewer here. I'm not talking about somebody like me. I'm talking about my mom or the 3 normal people I asked about this that all said, what, it's just about Daenerys? Or no dragon? Because everybody was talking about it. And certain people were like, I'm a bit confused, Ab. And I'm like, I was waiting for it. I enjoy it. I love when people come to ask me nerd shit, or if I watched a movie, or if I watched a show, or to give me a recommendation. I love it. And people know that. Me and Chester talk about it all the time. I love when I have break with Chester. This? Why did you pick this? Of all this shit, do a mini series of Robert's Rebellion or Duncan Egg. Call it a day, and then get us into, because this looks super magic heavy, and that's exactly what the problem was with the end of Game of Thrones. Well, not the exact problem, but also those showrunners didn't sign up to finish a series. Point blank. Period. George R. R. Martin says that in one of his first interviews. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll be done with it by the time the show ends." And yeah, okay. And that's a very big difference. I'm not excusing it. I'm just making a comment. But yeah. One of the big issues is you made such a hard right into magic and White Walkers and all this shit that when you went skirt back to normal life, it was jarring and weird. And if we had, I will elaborate more on this once we hit over 300 subscribers. I'll talk more about how I would have fixed the final season. And it's not perfect, but I think it's not, I'm pretty sure it's how it should have fucking went with what we had to work with. House of the Dragon. It's fucking coming. It's fucking coming in 2022 at some point, just like everything else. Abby with Motor City Nerds, and I'm always down to talk about Game of Thrones at any point. I really am. I'm excited for all these prequels they have coming up. I truly am. I'm just like, I'm concerned starting with this, because this is a lot to shove in. And fucking raining. I don't know why this keeps happening. It's like a downpour. Like, it keeps flooding in Michigan. I don't know why. It's the floods, guys. This shit's crazy. We got the fucking National Guard. I work in Dearborn, and it's like we were stuck at work while it flooded. Oh my God. Remember that we're doing the giveaway with the Loki horns and the glow-in-the-dark stand for them? At 300 subscribers, I'm gonna pick a winner, and all you have to do is subscribe and leave a comment on a video. So yeah. Remember to do that. I'm Abby. Tell me what you didn't like about this trailer. Tell me what you did like. I'm sure I'm going to get more assholes saying that they don't dislike something for one reason, but the truth is you just have a problem with this man's race. But anybody who is making content on YouTube or does a podcast or something, you know, if you say controversial shit and make controversial titles, that people are more likely to follow or view your shit, and I just think that's a cheap way to go about things. It's the same with starting fucking shit with other channels. It's like, we get it. You want to boost each other up. We get it. There's some type of fucking shit going on here. Like, it's all good. Like, I don't want to do that. And like I said, it bothered me because I'm also like, not only does it, like, if you have a legitimate reason, because like I said, if you love the sea snake or something and you're just disappointed, that is different than going, I have a serious issue with the fact that this man is cast, because then it's just like, you are fighting about a fantasy world. These people don't exist. So what do you, if this is the crusade you want to die on, go ahead. Like, you obviously have nothing better to do.